The easiest person to fool is yourself. I'm talking about you. We're gonna have a one on one talk about fear, hope, and overtrading. If you wish to really understand and to overcome them, or at least have some insight upon them, because if you don't, you surely know how the market works. It will punch you in your face until you rewire your brain and you accept the defeat and then surrender, raise your hand, and understand that the market is always right. And he is always the strongest opponent that you would never going to defeat. I know it's 9 a.m. So yes, it's a very important discussion between me and you. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because, frankly, I've been through all the blown that you can think of. And especially at the end of the video, I'll show you what's going on under this hat. I'll show you how I've transformed myself from being a human to an alien. I was about to say Frankenstein, but no, I prefer alien. And I feel genuinely the most luckiest person on earth because it could have been worse. I mean, I'm sure you could see through the camera lens that I have no brows. I have no fucking hair, neither on my balls, so I'm good with it. I never really had a lot of hair, but this time I lost it all. We're gonna get through all this at the end of the video, okay? But what's important here is between me and you. And frankly, I've seen through my own journey that the hardest thing, without even being conscious, was to keep the fucking money because it was easy to make money. It was getting easier and easier with time because you're getting better, you're understanding more, you're refining more, you've done a lot of iteration, you've done a lot of research, you put more work, and then eventually it compounds to a point that you get to make those big wins, and then suddenly you start to tie your self worth with that money. And then you get the fear of maybe I might lose it, or I wish I would not do those mistakes. Like if you don't really trust yourself, how fucking delusional I was at a certain time. You will only going to win over this battle if you face them. But you need some tools, and I'm here to share with you the tools. Because without those tools, you will lose two most precious things in life. It's time and energy. You will never get back in your life. I mean, I'm 31 years old right now. I wish, honestly, I would have started earlier, but then again, there's always this odd saying that says, I don't know if, theoretically if it's right, but I accepted it because that's part of our journey and we're meaning machines, and that's what keeps our civilization continuously growing and becoming better and staying fulfilled, which is everything happens for a reason, and the person you are is because of the things that happen to you, and you wouldn't be the person that you are if you didn't have those setbacks. But frankly, I wish I would have knew this back then, early on in my early 20s. Matter of fact, I wasn't trading up in my early 20s, but I wish. But anyway, if you're young or any age you're looking up to this video, you're fucking lucky. If you really have the attention span to really listen to digest what I'm about to say, then you're gonna yield a lot of benefit out of it. So I was looking up to my P&L, and I wasn't facing myself the truth of the hardest thing in trading. And the hardest thing in trading is not to make money because theoretically speaking, you could sit in front of the chart and you can put any random people buy or sell. You can make money and lose money. Matter of fact, I remember when I first initially traded, I had a lot of balls, which I paid my dues with time. But I never really traded demo account, no profit from it. It wasn't really existent in my time, or at least I wasn't aware of it. But $10,000 of my own life capital, and I made $9,000 in less than a week. Did I know anything about trading? Absolutely not. All I knew was an old saying of Warren Buffett that said, when there's blood in the street, there's opportunities. And every time the market was going down, I was buying and I was just holding down. I didn't knew nothing about any technical tools, any fundamental at all. All I knew was that I had more balls and I was just buying when there was a low and I was keeping it until it goes up and until I'm satisfied with the P&L. And I was opening, I think at that time, one lot size or two lot size. I was making decent money. Until a week, I made $9,000 and I felt like a genius. And the only meaning I was giving to my early success, quote unquote, was I have more balls. Even though if I'm gonna draw down, at a worst case scenario, what I was doing was simply going for a run, for a training, and then I was just fighting all of those voices that I knew I was not doing something right, but at the same time, the result was showing me I was doing something right, right? So really the result doesn't mean anything. And it doesn't mean anything if you're making money as well for a short period of time. Because what truly matters, as my old mentor that I truly adore, he told me something that stood with me for the rest of my journey. And that is, you have to stand the test of time. And with time, yearly result, or after a few quarter, when you look at your P&L, then you realize there's a lot of leakage on your boat. When you are trading, and I hate hope in trading, I really, really genuinely hate hope. In the moment, so for me, in the moment when I feel hope, I remove the position and I'm like, I'm not deserving of anything at all. Neither to win, neither to lose. It's just a waste of my time. But it could help you to arrive to that point where I'm at. And there's always step in a ladder. You have to go step by step. And the one that I want you to implement on your trading, and I'm sure you're going to see a big difference, is when you're losing, never be hopeful for it to go back to break even. Because usually, typical way of thinking is you take a trade, it goes to a small loss, especially if you had a week of good trades. You go and draw down, and then you're thinking about all the wins and all the effort and all the time that you put into the week for you to arrive to that certain point. For example, $5,000 that you've made. Now you have a drawdown of $1,500, but then you wait, and you're hopeful. And then you wait till it goes back to break even. So what the market does is that it does a small little high, give you a little bit of hope. Your reticular activant system is only focused on avoidance of pain. So the only thing you could filter through the data is that the trade will eventually go according to your expectation. That's dangerous because they'll do a small little high, so you're back at minus $1,000, and then they're gonna do another low. So now, what you're gonna give yourself as a meaning is that it might break that small little high and go back to minus 800, and then do lower high, and you get the drill. If you would have had step away from the market and had clarity without all those human fallacies, you would never going to let it leak more than $1,000. But at that moment, because you're prone to have that pain avoidance mechanism into you that just simply wants to help you out, your subconscious doesn't know the difference between right or wrong. He just do things to protect you because of all the expectation, the work, the effort, the lucky money that you've made, all of that tied to a meaning of I wish and I hope it goes back to break even. And if it goes back to break even, I wish it does not, because then you're gonna keep that pattern and way of thinking eventually. So it doesn't really matter if you make 1 million, if you make 2 million. I've known a lot of great traders that lost pretty much most of everything, or if not, at least 50% of their capital. And when we're talking about few millions of dollars, it's a lot of money. Perhaps keeping this mindset of hopeful trading is the worst one. Now let's go back to the opposite way. When you're winning money, then you're starting to be fearful. Fearful of what? Of the market taking back what you're expecting. So let's say, for instance, you expect the market to go back to 5,000. Okay, gold market we're talking to. You want them to go back to 5,000, and you're currently floating $10,000. And it goes downward, upward, downward, and the same mechanism is trying to protect you, a pain avoidance mechanism. And us humans, we have a hard time to deal with the fact that you were expecting to get something and then it could be snatched away. In a market language, what happened is that most of the time it does those higher high. It goes according to your plan. But sometimes it could happen that it goes back directly to your entry, does a double top, a double bottom, or worse, it goes leak to the other side of the coin, which is you probably not aware that you were floating all this money, but it was the wrong analysis. So you're about to lose money. And at that point, you could have secured money. So now you're fearful because every time the market goes with your expectation, all you want to do is not to go from A to B. You just want to protect whatever you have because you're still not sure if it goes all the way to the take profit. So what you want to do is you want to take your profit as soon as possible. So let's step back a little bit. When you're in a loss, you're hopeful, and when you're in a win, you're fearful. And those two emotions, you're using it against yourself. Because every time you have a great analysis, it could have been that trade that would have saved you, give you the cushion for the whole month. Well, that trade, you cut it 1/4 of the profit, and you simply take that because you had fear going against your analysis. And every time you have a loss, then at that point of losing money, you simply want to be hopeful and it becomes a bigger loss. You see the logic here? Your losses risk to ratio are a lot higher than your win risk to ratio. With that strategy, it's inevitable that one day you're going to lose everything. And the more you amass money, the more you attach yourself to it, because the more you attach your sense of identity, and more importantly, the more you deeply know you're doing something wrong with the whole thing. Just like me, when I started trading and I made $9,000, I knew deep down myself I was not deserving of that money just because I had more balls to keep holding on to all of those drawdowns. And I literally didn't understand what's a candlestick. What's the solution? The first step of the solution is for you to reverse engineering, reverse it all, okay? Be hopeful when you're winning and be fearful when you're losing. Cut your fucking losses as quick as possible. The moment you know this loss is going nowhere, you cut it down and just walk away from the screen. It's because you're probably not yet mature enough to have the emotional equanimity, meaning, in other words, the emotional stability to go back to some clarity, okay, go back to a state of mind where clear, and then take a proper objective analysis. So you will have to walk away. Okay, that's going to be the first step. The moment you do that over and over again, you're going to create this beautiful habit of not wanting to lose a lot. And then when you're winning, be more hopeful. I know it sounds contradictory to what I said early on. I hate hope, but that's like at least at my point of view, it's like the last level. But I'm sure there's a lot more level. But at the level where I'm at, I hate hope, okay? Because I have this skill set and I know exactly what's a good trade. I know exactly what's a bad trade. So I just don't trade with hope. Perhaps before your journey arrives to that point, you will have to start with a small step. You don't go to the gym and you bust down all the weight for 1 hour and 30 minutes. You start it off with 10 minutes, create some habit, and then eventually increase the habit along the journey. I mean, how can you improve something if it's not even a habit? You don't have any consistency yet, right? So that's why for you, at the stage that you are, if you have a hard time to deal with fear and hope, you will have to reverse engineering this mindset and you'd have to be more hopeful on your wins and fearful on your loss. And I promise you, maybe in the short term, you're going to miss out on big wins because you took the loss a little bit earlier and then it goes according to your plan and you could have actually led it on a drawdown. That's all good because we don't judge our trade based on one simple set of data. You want to judge it by quarterly and more importantly yearly. I remember when I was a barber, I had few barbershops and I've seen literally all type of barbers. And the ones that were the most successful ones was the one that wasn't fussing and tussing when they started and they didn't had any client. There was one particular barber I remember, he was the most calmest one. And ironically, he was an Indian. And Indians, if you know a little bit the background, they're so calm. Their state of mind is just no problem. And they go like this with their head. And I was like, hey, I'm gonna name his name, but let's call him, I'm trying to find an Indian name, Chopra. And I was calling him Chopra. It's okay. You know, today you don't have as much as client. It's a calm season. It's raining, whatnot. Next week is going to be promising. And all of his answer was like this. Oh, no problem. And I knew instantly he's going to be successful because he was patient enough to not tie his resolve of short-term thinking based on his long-term thinking and long-term objectives. He came here to become a barber, opening his shop. Matter of fact, he has 2 shops nowadays. That's what I heard. He came here to become the best barber that he can be and to fulfill his dream job, which is owning shops. And he just literally came from India. Remember, he came with sandals for an interview. It took him at least 4 to 5 times coming to shake my hand until I eventually surrender. And I said, probably there's something with this dude here. I'm going to give him a shot. And look at him today. Less than 5 years being here in Canada, owns 2 shops, married. His life is set. I mean, honestly, no disrespect to all the other traders, barbers that I had. If I would say the most successful, arguably, out of all of the barbers, it would be him because he had the attitude to be really patient and to not tie his short term result to his long term objectives. He was hopeful, never fearful. But anyway, the point is that's the attitude you want to have. Okay, the attitude of let me just create the best habit upon my journey, and the result will be taken care of with time. And don't tie your long term decision making based on a short term result. And you're sure with that sets of mind, you're not going to basically blow your account. Well, I mean, at least go less in the bus cycle because theoretically speaking, you could take a lot of losses over and over and over again. As I promised, I'm going to show you what's going on under here. No hair, no brows, no nothing. And the reason is simple. I don't fucking know what's going on, okay? It's called alopecia universal whatsoever. Frankly, all the doctors, they don't know what's going on. They know what it is, but they don't know what's the remedy. And if you do some research, like I've done a little bit of that, it might come back. It might not come back. I'd have to accept it. It is what it is. It's part of my journey. I transformed myself from Super Saiyan to fucking Super Saiyan. I'm proud of it. And the reason why I'm proud of it is because I don't tie this short term result of me losing all of the hair in my body based on just the fact that I used to look like fucking Tarzan jacked off to a fucking alien jacked off. I don't care, to be honest, because this could have been a lot worse. I've heard horror stories that some people just had cancer because of a period of stress, heart attack. Lots of fucking stuff could have happened that was permanently. But for me, I look at myself in a mirror, and each time I look at myself in a mirror, I have this gratitude to understand that God is really bestowing upon me the concept of everything is limited. All of this is borrowed time. And I have no reason to fuss, tuss, complain, nothing, because it's all borrowed. Even your body is borrowed. Think about it. You're there for 70, 80, 90 if you're lucky. But then you'd have to go back home. So you have to leave that body. If it's not even yours. You're not even in your body, matter of fact. You're just in this temple for a short period of time. And what I'm lucky about is that I get to do the best I can with it. Okay. I get to keep it healthy. But the only thing that happened was just a reminder. A reminder that's gonna come back. My brow is gonna come back. My hair eventually is gonna come back. Well, hopefully, if it's not hopefully, who gives a fuck? That comes with time. And I know it's temporary. I'm a faithful person. And I believe that if you're good and you do good and you put your head down, and the only thing you want in life is to fulfill your mission and to give back, you could only take so much with you when you go home. And the only thing you could do is just leave as much as possible out there. Then I have no reason to be fearful of the worst could happen to me. And to be frank, I couldn't care less because that's part of my story. And I'm proud of what happened to me. I'm proud of everything. Like I have scars here because of boxing. My nose was broken because of boxing. There's a history behind everything, history behind all of my tattoos. I embrace all of my flaws. Shit happens. This is life, gentlemen. The reason why you're so tied to every single thing going on to you is because you think it's all your life, because you think how important it is. It is not important. In the grand scale of things and time, we're just a little grain of sand, and in the history of the world, no one will care about you. No one. at all. So that's that, folks. Hopefully, this video would be insightful for you. I hope you're gonna do the best of it. I hope you're gonna be hopeful on all the worst of the worst time. Being human is very complicated. I understand this, but it's our duty to make the best out of it because we're only guests. Be hopeful. Don't be fearful. Use it for you, those two emotions. They're there for a reason. Be a legend.